Thanks for joining the space. Appreciate having you guys on. I think it's an exciting time in the Solana space. Lots of stuff happening, even despite some of the market behavior. I think everyone's heads down building and coming up with cool products. So yeah, I might kind of really quickly give a bit of a rundown on how Zeta uses Pyth, and then we can kind of jump into what's happening kind of in the current state of the markets. So to give like a really quick update on our end, we're obviously leveraging Pyth. It's kind of like the workhorse behind a lot of our platform as the kind of Oracle on Solana. It's like very high frequency. We basically use it for all our mark prices, which we can do in real time. That's something that we think gives us like a really big edge over a lot of other platforms, especially on other chains that have to update their mark prices pretty much like every 15 minutes. Say we're pretty much doing price updates every twice a second, which is pretty incredible. And that starts, allowing us to edge towards this high frequency nature, building like DeFi high frequency trading platforms, which is pretty cool. And so, we basically grab the spot price of the Pyth Oracle, we pass that through our pricing functions, and we can basically price all our futures, all our options, really, really quickly and update it, as the market changes, pretty much live. And that allows us to get like fair pricing on our options firstly, and then stuff like liquidations, we kind of mark the value of the option, responding real time to market scenarios. The second one obviously is like a pretty basic one. We use it for all our charting. So all the kind of candle and line charts that you see there, all use Pyth under the hood, which is great. And then the last bit is like settling our Oracle at expiry. So as you know, futures and options kind of have this set expiry date, expire end of week, and we do what's called like cash settled. So basically we use the Oracle price, and then we can basically net the P&L of all these different contracts and then cash that out to people. So Pyth is pretty instrumental there. But yeah, passing it over to you guys. What's been happening this last week? We obviously went to mainnet. Solana's been kind of having a few hiccups on the way. Like, how have you guys been seeing the current state of Solana and like the DeFi markets? What's been happening on the Pyth end?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a very eventful week, or past week, for us. We had this inaugural Pyth workshop where we dropped our white paper, brought a bunch of people in the ecosystem. A bunch of our data providers came out. We had a bunch of people speaking and just meeting each other. The Solana Chicago Hacker House was going on in the same building at the same time. Mm-hmm. So it was great meeting everyone, and it was kind of like Pyth week, and then suddenly we have the slowdown in Solana and some of that congestion at the end of the week. Thankfully, it was at the end of the week, so we had to deal with that all weekend. Mm-hmm. But all in all, it was an awesome week to drop the white paper. I think that was the big announcement that we had. The community has been waiting for it for a long time. I think it outlines Pyth's vision and design, at least for the near term. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that was our experience. I mean, I think we kind of faced the same issues that you guys faced, where transactions weren't going through.
Yep.
So for us, that means that publishers weren't able to get their price updates on chain. Mm-hmm. And kind of the severity of it kind of throws off your systems a little bit, and you have to do some resets and just deal with a bunch of concerns from different parties. But I think all in all, we handled it pretty well. I know you guys did some abrupt maneuvering, given that you guys launched mainnet on Monday.
Yep.
So I think we launched a white paper, you guys launched mainnet, and then we all deal with this issue.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, super exciting to see the white paper. And yeah, like you mentioned, we went to mainnet pretty much start of last week. So it's awesome to be out in the wild and have this platform that we've been building out for months and months live and have people trading it. But yeah, it was definitely really tough. The TPS kind of tanked over the weekend, I think, with a lot of this like DDoS transaction, duplicate spamming. And so, the kind of network didn't grind to a halt, but like definitely was in the kind of few hundred TPS range. And it meant that basically people, people generally couldn't actually place transactions, for us at least. It was kind of tough because we couldn't really trade on the platform, and our kind of market makers that we did have were in a bit of a tough spot where they couldn't cancel a lot of their resting orders on the order book that they were quoting. So they were feeling the pressure a little bit, and we had to manage that. And then, I know Pyth had like a little bit of fluctuation and volatility. So we actually had to make the decision to like halt our platform for a little bit and kind of suspend trading, just because we didn't want people to basically like lose money or kind of end up getting liquidated at kind of unfair levels. So we paused it for a couple of hours safely. No one got liquidated, which was super awesome. And it was good to do one of those tests in prod. And then we kind of went and took it back live, like re-enabled pricing and re-enabled kind of some of the trades to go through, and everything kind of worked out in the end. So that was good. And it seems like the 1.8.14 patch has definitely improved some of the network congestion issues. So very glad to see things are on the rise there. But yeah, just wanted to dig into, you guys have launched a white paper, super exciting. I had a bit of a read through it. For those who haven't read it, what are some of the like the high level concepts going into this new version of Pyth? What are some of the things to keep your eye
on? So I would say one of the cool aspects of it is that we have kind of 3 different network participants. Mm-hmm. We've got publishers, so those are first party data providers that kind of feed the engine. You've got consumers such as Zeta, building amazing products on chain and leveraging that powerful data. And then the third thing is delegators, and I think that's an interesting aspect that was new to the community, and we've gotten a lot of questions about it, and people are excited about it. Mm-hmm. So there's kind of a, we use a weighted median for price, and one of the inputs to that is the stake weight. So each product will, or each publisher will allow delegators to stake. Mm-hmm. And we're going to be releasing this kind of metrics page where you can click on the individual price components or the individual publisher components that we have online. So right now you can see their public keys. Like very soon you'll be able to tap into that and see all of this historical data of how well that specific publisher has done, how accurate they were, their uptime, all these really interesting and useful metrics. And then you can decide to stake once this is launched and back one of those publishers. And then if a publisher has a higher stake, their influence on the Pyth aggregate price will kind of express that. So I think that's really a really cool thing, and it also allows participation from a whole new group of people, right? So it's not just protocols or applications, off-chain applications building with Pyth, but it's also just anybody who wants to get involved can actually participate and benefit and be part of the Pyth network.
Nice, that's really exciting. So is the way for me to think about this, is it kind of like the delegated proof of stake mechanism that Solana uses for a bunch of their kind of validators, where you kind of delegate stake, you put it, say I, dedicate it to Certus 1, and then I kind of earn potentially like yield on that as well? Yeah,
you can potentially earn rewards.
Nice.
During that. And also our publishers have to stake as well. So they've got skin in the game, and they can get slashed if they report a misprice. There's a very interesting claims process or on jury system that we've implemented, and we've partnered with Human Protocol to kind of execute that. So I'd recommend anyone who's listening, like, check out the white paper. It's got a lot of cool stuff, a lot of interesting stuff that I think is happening for the first time on Solana, and we're super excited to kind of ship these things out and see how people take it.
Yeah, it definitely feels very unique, and it's very, very detailed how you guys have thought about it. So that's really impressive. I wanted to dig into like how people exactly delegate from kind of a user perspective. So you said there's going to be like a metrics page. You're probably going to have some like general metrics. I don't know, maybe like a mean squared error for like all your different publishers, and then people will probably gauge whichever one's the most accurate, and will tend to put their vote stake towards that, right?
Yeah, so we have all the products that we list. Well, you can see their performance per product, right? So that's a little bit more important than just the publisher as a whole. You really look at how's their performance on the BTC feed, or how's their performance on the Sol feed. That's kind of how you look at that.
And how do you exactly benchmark performance? Because like you're meant to almost be the ground truth in this case as like the oracle. What are you kind of comparing to as like the gold standard here?
You can, because, okay, so
is it like a variance thing where you're comparing against like all the other producers out there, and if anyone's like really off, then like you almost penalize that in a sense?
Yeah, because each individual publisher publishes on chain, which is something that's unique, I think, for that Pyth kind of offers, is that it's very transparent, and it's always verifiable. So each publisher publishes on chain their individual price.
Yep.
Then Pyth takes all of those published prices, aggregates it.
Yep.
And so you can always compare the individual publisher to the aggregate or the sum of everyone.
Yeah, so. I see.
And for the math nerds, in the white paper, you have a whole, like the quality score pretty much. Like as Said said, we receive inputs on, let's say, slot 1. The output is returned on slot 2. And pretty much we do some kind of regressive analysis of who are the publishers that, let's say, publisher A says price is 10, another one says 11. So aggregate is, let's say, 10.5, but on the next slot, if price continues to go down, we'll see that publisher A was likely closer to the price back in the time. So it's kind of it's not prediction at all. It's like regressive function to calculate this, but that's kind of how we'll say, okay, these guys are good because they may differ. Sometimes they may differ from the aggregate, but like, sometimes they have a good reason for it, and actually they will be right, and the aggregate will catch up. Gotcha. So that's how we determine a better, let's say, provider, publisher than another one.
That's interesting. Nice. And I saw some other interesting things in there. Mention of a Pyth token, as well as kind of user rebates if there is kind of like bad data published. Do you guys want to kind of elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, so definitely in order to kind of launch some of the things that we've outlined in the white paper, we'll need a token. So a Pyth token is definitely going to be involved at some point. No date yet or anything like that. I think that's still TBD. But definitely like integral and part of the utility of the. But definitely, so a lot of everyone was pretty happy to hear that. So that's the when token question, and then the rebates or the rewards for. So I kind of alluded to this earlier, where there's this idea that there are some platform fees that are generated. So like a protocol like Zeta could basically pay some fees to consume the data. Those fees would be pooled, and then in the event that the Oracle fails for some reason, we would kind of, you would execute the on-chain jury mechanism to be able to investigate whether like the Oracle failed on a certain price feed, right? So
that makes sense.
Human protocol would basically like execute this job. It'll go out to thousands of people around the world at different times. They would go to a ground truth source, let's say XYZ exchange. They would report back these prices. We would compare them to the published price. It would, at the end of that process, you'll know whether, the claim is correct or it's not correct. If it's correct, it goes to the community for a governance vote. They'll ratify the claim, and then delegators would get a portion of the funds, and then let's say Zeta had purchased that, kind of like paid those fees. They would get those back, and they could distribute them to their users. So it's a pretty interesting model, but
yeah, that makes sense, and it's like not too dissimilar, I think, to how our platform potentially works as well, because we also have an insurance fund. Platform fees essentially get directed to that, and so you kind of build up a bit of a rainy day fund. So if the market does blow up, or there is some kind of issue with the platform, users are kind of fairly compensated, and no one actually kind of loses out on, say, unfair liquidations or bugs in the platform. So yeah, it's kind of good to see those measures implemented.
Yeah, and the cool thing is it's permissionless, so it doesn't have to be like a protocol like Zeta. It could be anyone. Anyone who wants to take that, that bet, if you will.
Yeah, that makes sense. Awesome. Jumping into the next question. Obviously, a lot has been happening in this space over the last couple of months, over the last year, even, to be honest. What are some of the types of projects that you're seeing starting to use Pyth? Any kind of interesting or kind of, unusual use cases or kind of applications that you're seeing coming out? What are you most excited for there?
I mean, I get a lot of these. I think recently there was a kind of an exotic options type of protocol that reached out to me, and they were like trying to explain like barrier trading and these kinds of esoteric products. And I was learning. I mean, I knew nothing about that space. I never ever looked into it. So there's all kinds of stuff I think being built right now in silence, and people don't know about it. And it'll probably start showing itself like 6 to 12 months out. So I'm super bullish on the ecosystem, super bullish on what Solana's builders are building. We get a lot of interesting calls.
Yeah, totally.
One thing that's pretty cool is the new type of AMM we start seeing popping up on Solana, like the Lifinity one, where you incorporate an oracle price into the function, so that you have you don't rely only on the reserve pool, and so you end up having less impermanent loss. The protocol make more money, the user, the LPs lose less. So that's super cool. And the whole Solana anyway, I think is very, I feel, trading, DeFi oriented. And what you really is futures. I think nowhere, you're the only one with futures right now.
Yep, that's correct.
And it's the biggest product in the world. And it's kind of shocking that it's only arriving now for me, because it's the biggest product traded in TradFi. So very bullish on Zeta, and even everyone's experience, on FTX or wherever on any exchange, you don't want to pay funding. You just want to long for months or short for months and on months without caring about funding. So I think user perspective, futures are going to be big, and the other one, and I think it's releasing tomorrow. It's 01, power perpetuals. And everlasting options. And after I'm keen to know if you're looking at those, any kind of, and as Said mentioned, new kind of products, everlasting options, power perpetuals. It's super exciting. It doesn't exist anywhere else. So I want to try a platform that offers this.
Yeah, that's really, really good point. And yeah, we're definitely, I think, pretty keen to just add more and more products under the kind of umbrella of what we have. I think that's what makes the platform powerful, is not just having a one-off product. You see in a lot of DeFi platforms, it's we do options, or we do perps, or we do futures, or we do whatever. I think having a few things built into the same platform, or at least composable in the one interface, is pretty powerful. So I guess testament to that, we have obviously your regular dated options. You can kind of buy and sell your calls and puts. And then the nice thing is, we're the first one to have futures out there, which is really exciting because it's a massive product in TradFi. And actually a lot of the TradFi folks that we've talked to are very comfortable with futures and kind of want to onboard with that. I think they're a little bit less used to pricing, or they haven't pretty much priced perpetuals at all. So that's probably a large untapped market. I think ultimately, perps are kind of a very crypto friendly thing. We're going to list them eventually as well. I think that's pretty cool. From our perspective, futures made sense first because you actually need to line up a bunch of the expiries with the options. Otherwise, you can't really hedge properly because the kind of, I guess the decay on the two different products is a little bit different. One's a kind of perpetual product. One is kind of, I guess, expiring product, and it's really hard to dynamically hedge between the two. And so for us, for market makers and for other big whales who wanted to be comfortable with the options trading, you need to have this linear product of futures type thing to be able to de-risk and take off that delta exposure to the underlying price. So yeah, those are a few reasons why we launched that. Similarly, very keen to launch additional products. Power perpetuals look pretty amazing. And I think from the math and implementation perspective, I don't think they're that difficult to get going. At least the pricing of them is pretty simple. It's just you just square the oracle price. So I think that would be pretty achievable to get out there, given that we've built this super complicated, under-collateralized European option exchange already. Everything feels like a little bit of a step down in complexity. So yeah, we're keen to get more of these out. Everlasting options, don't think I've actually seen anyone implement it in practice. I know 01 kind of seemed to have pivoted away from it, which is interesting. So we'd love to talk to them on why that was. But yeah, so many options, and I'm really excited for all this financial innovation and the new products that are going to come out of the space in the next couple of years.
I mean, yeah, we're proud to be the infrastructure layer supporting all of it.
Yeah.
I mean, the more generic kind of answer to your question is, well, look, we're an Ormco providing, the pricing source for whatever underlying that people want for whatever derivatives. So last month, for example, Mango launched their new Luna perp. That's powered by us. Drift has their new Matic perp. And, it's these little victories that I think go a long way, because we want people to be able to trade the underlyings beyond just Solana, right? We want to give people true, that real DeFi kind of power. And we look forward to bringing real world underlyings to the Solana space and beyond as well, with the help of Wormhole.
Yep, 100%. Totally agree with that. And that kind of leads well into my next question. I think a lot of people are touting 2022 to be like the true year of composability, especially for Solana. We've seen all the primitives getting built out all of last year. There's a lot of work. It feels like, re-engineering the new financial internet somewhat. We've got all the base protocols, we've got the TCP and HTTP built out in terms of platforms such as, we have Solana obviously is the chain that everything communicates on. You have stuff like data services and data layers such as Pyth. We've got trading infrastructure of order books such as Serum. So all these kind of public goods, I guess, or kind of infrastructure projects are really exciting to see. You've got Wormhole obviously for bridging. And then you've got the next layer, which is these kind of base layers for all the different use cases such as derivatives. We've now got, the fully fledged derivatives layer in terms of Zeta. And I think now we're going to see a lot of these kind of higher level applications coming out. Is there anything you guys are particularly excited for? What's the kind of meta, and what kind of products are you seeing coming out on that kind of application layer?
I'm very keen on the structured product, the vault we've recently seen popping up, whether Tap, Chest, Katana, Friction. I think it really shows what's composability, because before they were launched, options on Solana, there was barely any volumes.
Yep.
And out of the blue in a month, now, I don't know, you have 200 million in TVL, maybe 150 million actually trading options. So that's you didn't work at all on those things. You could not know those teams, and they bring 100+ million to your protocol. So I think that's super exciting and you can continuously build on top. So those structured product for option has been kind of a miracle, let's say, I think, to kickstart, bring people there and all. I think it's very, very cool. And as Said mentioned a bit before, exotics, people are gonna understand how base layer is efficient, how pretty much every next step is easier than the previous. So people are gonna get crazy innovative on it, and that's gonna be super cool to see.
Yeah, and I saw the announcement today with Ribbon. I thought that was really cool.
There you go, got it.
A lot of people are excited about that. How are you guys feeling about it?
Yeah, I mean, we've been kind of building this, I guess, a little bit under wraps for the last couple of weeks, more or less since Christmas. Has been a big thing we've been working on. We already obviously had I think the platform in terms of the DEX pretty much ready to go around end of the year, and it was just I think getting market makers comfortable and all the external dependencies on running a reliable and trustworthy platform that's I think gonna show liquidity and not blow up in any sense. So the DEX launch has been super smooth, which is awesome, and just a testament to the amount of time and engineering we put into it. And then in the background, we've been working, composability has been our huge focus now that we have a product on mainnet. And so it's pretty much talking to every Vault and exotic, product out there on how they can integrate with us. I've certainly spent a lot of my time just writing documentation, writing CPI examples. So it's like plug and play for anyone to spin up their own vault. And yeah, testament to that, we've brought Ribbon over. We've pretty much like, I guess, handheld in terms of like all the smart contract development on Solana. We've pretty much done the majority of that. And then they're kind of like just building the layer on top of us. They got integrated very quickly. Like we've managed to basically spin up a product on a new chain in a matter of just like weeks, which is pretty nuts. And that should be going live pretty soon, which is very exciting. And they're a great team. Like we're so excited to work with them. They're the market leaders coming over from the EVM space. I think at their peak, they were doing 250 or 300 mil TVL, which is pretty incredible. And it's great to see them on Solana. I think they're very excited, and there's a huge amount of potential for products such as like Sol covered calls that I think will just like, as you're already seeing, there's like great product market fit. You know, all the current Solana, I guess, protocols that are doing this, I think at the peak was already like 200 mil in kind of TVL, which is pretty nuts. So yeah, we're very excited for that.
Awesome.
Yeah, and there's probably like a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, you've got all these exotic ones. I think people are going pretty wild with the stuff they can build. And it's pretty cool with Zeta. Like you've got all the tools really at your hand. We've done all like the difficult work of like order book integrations with CRM. You know, we got like Pyth in the back end. You know, we're doing all of this like complicated margining that makes it as efficient to trade as possible. So you basically get all these givens out of the box, like under collateralized trading. And it's really simple. Like now you just have this high level API to like place and cancel orders, you know, move your margin around, do stuff like that, perform liquidations. So people can get really creative and don't have to necessarily dig into the weeds to build incredible products. So I'm hoping to see even stuff outside of vaults, like people can build hedging products. That's what options are kind of traditionally used for in traditional markets, and any kind of like risk management. Like we talked to a kind of risk aggregator / dashboard project yesterday, and they're like, we'll give you high level view, like plug into all your like whole trading portfolio, almost like a step finance. But then it shows you like all your different risks, say like, oh, if you're going to get liquidated somewhere here, or you have too much delta risk, and then you probably like click a few buttons, it goes off and like hedges your positions or something or other on a platform like Zeta. I think something like that would be pretty awesome and just make some like powerful DeFi traders out there.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
And with all the new kind of like DeFi primitive market, different markets that start popping up, like Zeta, Sai, or for perps, like you have Mango, the Drift one. Yeah, as you mentioned, like new type of vaults, like just like kind of an orbing vault. Like I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Just you, like for UXD, for example, they peg their stablecoin on it. Like just create something that farms the ARBs pretty much. I think that's super cool, and I think it can turn insane results because market is still nascent everywhere, like whether it's Mango, Drift, Zeta, or Sai options. So there must be ton of opportunities to take advantage of.
Yeah, definitely. And also like super excited for stuff like basis vaults, like you kind of alluded to. We have futures as well, so we're working with people on getting that to market, and I think there's a lot of juice and opportunity there. And yeah, even if you use our platform, like in the early days, there was a bunch of ARBs like with Delta Exchange and Deribit. So if you had the capital, like those are some pretty good trades you could have put on, and they're still kind of possible. So I would encourage people to get on there and scoop those up. We also have a bunch of feature bounties out there if people want to build kind of market makers and other kinds of bots, which will keep the price in line. I think they're like pretty profitable strategies, to be honest. So yeah, those are pretty cool. Yeah, and I just wanted to mention as well, like the cool thing with our platform, because we're cash settled, we can pretty much list options on anything that has a price feed. So anything that's kind of like longer tail that you wouldn't necessarily see on Deribit, we can pretty much list all like the major caps, as well as like Solana ecosystem coins, as well as probably getting into a little bit more left field stuff, you know, kind of more exotic products. I'm wondering what you guys are planning to list in that kind of space. What are some of the exciting potential derivatives that we could see out there? Like, are we going to have maybe NFT derivatives, gas price derivatives? Like, what are you guys thinking?
I think we're taking like a demand-based approach.
Yep.
So we want to make sure that, number one, we get first-party data providers that can source the data. So that's very important for us. But also number two, we want to hear from the community, from you guys, other people who are building stuff. What's important? well, what are the next things that you guys want to build around? And that's primarily the way that kind of Pyth makes its decision on, okay, can we source this? And then should we source this? So, yeah. I mean, I'd be really interested to see, some derivatives based on NFTs. So I think that's exciting.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And features
different, Mark.
Yeah. Features complete. Pretty much anything can get listed on Pyth.
Yeah.
Like features complete. Anyone you want to have NFT pricing, get some Pyth, stake it, become a publisher. You'll have the ups if people are using it, paying fees. You can even take some rewards home. If you play it, if you maliciously play it, you'll get slashed, you'll lose everything. So, long term, it's really Pyth, decentralized, self-sustainable, so we can see pretty much what the people want to see. And not until now where we had to kind of, as Said mentioned, prioritize what we can do, what we want to do. At some point, it will be rolling.
Yeah, it's generally been a kind of those two. It's been a function of those two, right? Are there proper sources that we think the market will look at and be like, that's good quality data provided, and then are people going to actually build with this with these price feeds? But I think in the future, once some of these things that we've outlined in the white paper are kind of launched, there's nothing stopping anyone from kind of starting to provide information to on-chain for anyone to use. So
yeah, I think that's super exciting, kind of democratizing it. Anyone can kind of publish, and it kind of opens up the design space of what kind of oracles we can have out there, especially to the community, and having it demand driven, I think makes a ton of sense. So I think that's a great approach to it.
Yeah, and I think the staking is also a proxy for that too, for understanding where the demand is.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. Ahead of a bit of a fun little question. So we've kind of gone for a lot of Greek inspiration and a lot of the naming between our two products. So I don't know if that's great minds think alike or what's going on there. But we got Pyth, we got Zeta. We kind of based our kind of naming off, options Greeks and stuff like that. Interested to hear how you guys named Pyth, what the kind of origin and backstory of that is, and also asking when's the Athens Hacker House going to happen?
Ask Jordan and Bartosz.
So true.
I love Athens.
I'll let Ed answer this question. He loves answering this question. He studied Greek history.
Greek philosophy, excuse me, but yes, we've come full circle, and we do get this question a lot. Right, I can see why. Right, it's like, do we write this in do we write our code in Python? Is that what's going on? It's like, no. Think of it this way, right? You have Pythia, the oracle of Delphi. You have Pyth, the oracle of DeFi.
I love that. That's awesome.
It's such a good line, and a lot of people in our Discord, it almost kind of came out of the blue. People just when they kind of learned this little historical fact, some of them had started submitting to us via DMs, hey, I studied Greek history too, or I just got really inspired. There's a lot of fan art in the Discord. It's really unexpected. People are just drawing Pythia or drawing goddesses or Greek gods or all this crazy stuff, incorporating the Pyth logo. But it's awesome to see. I really love that everyone is coming to the Discord, not just to talk about DeFi and crypto and trading and whatnot, but also sort of expressing themselves in an aesthetic medium. And we're aesthetic beings at the end of the day, right? Trading only takes up a part of our lives, hopefully. And it's good to see people getting creative and getting artful in our spaces.
Yeah, it's definitely great, and I think testament to that. I remember your NFTs back in the day were very cool and very unique, as well as some of the merch that I remember came out. I still have my Pyth t-shirt and water bottle and stuff that I love. So yeah,
I'm pretty sure the WEN token, we minted it back in. I'm pretty sure the WEN might have been. It might have been among if not the first minted NFT. It's not even on the Metaplex benchmark. I've been on Solana let's say day one, and had not seen an NFT going around. So I think we're pretty proud of this. and it's now like almost like 8 months ago we kind of kickstarted the NFT craze on Solana. We'll take this for us.
Yeah.
Let me know. Yeah, no, the Pyth win token number 1 is actually super old school. It's valuable, and but we created for sentimental value, just to reward people for being early comers to the Discord. And NFTs have unlocked a lot just on the aesthetic plane in general, and it's always fun to sort of exploring what we can do in terms of swag or do in terms of NFTs, and definitely looking forward to maybe merging the two, right? Already taking the metaverse idea seriously, and I mean, heck, if we're going to do this, might as well do it in Greece, do it in Athens or something. I think it's a great idea, Tristan.
Yeah, awesome. And it feels like that 8 months ago that you came out with that feels like a lifetime ago. Honestly, everything moves very fast in this space. You feel like you age very quickly. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see where we are 8 months from now.
All the way back in 2021.
Yeah, exactly. Feels like a lifetime ago. I think that leads pretty nicely into our last question. Don't want to keep people here too long, but yeah, it's been like a turbulent time in the ecosystem. Interested to see like how are you guys staying resilient as a team, and especially like what's on the roadmap. Let's say what's happening in the next 8 months that you're super keen for. What's kind of like the long-term vision to Pyth? Where do you guys want to get to?
I think for us, it's really heads down, execute on everything that we've laid out, that vision in the white paper. Consume as much feedback from the community, from the developer community. I invite anyone listening here who's building on Solana to join our Discord or join our Telegram. Reach out to us. We're super friendly. We'd love to learn about what you want to build, how Pyth can help make that happen, what kind of data is important to you guys. But yeah, I mean, we have a clear kind of plan for what 22 looks like and what a successful 2022 looks like. And a lot of it's basically shared in that white paper. So take a look.
And pretty much, based on the 21 experience, expect the unexpected. Like it can go so fast, so well, or the reverse. So that's, like you said, staying resilient as a team. Like you need resilient individual, and just like Chase Barker had amazing tweets the past 2 days on like it's downs and detractors that just fuel your car to go way faster, way further. And so I think it's 21 was an insane year, but I think it just fueled, and every year, like every subsequent year will be the same. Like there is so much potential, and everyone, let's say, deep into the ecosystem feels it, sees it. And so it's not hard to be insanely hyped up and committed.
I think a big part of it too. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I'm fired up by Mark's speech.
Let's go.
We all are. We chose to support Solana for a reason, and whatever you're building or whatever it is you believe in, you gotta take pride in it. And at Pyth Network, we take pride in building critical infrastructure, not just for Solana, but for cross-chain purposes, for DeFi, and in a sense for the world. For the last few months, we've been streaming some of the best data that you can find that normally is behind castle walls and completely inaccessible unless you pay the equivalent of a Bloomberg subscription or pay fees to CME. We've been streaming that data for months now, completely free. You can consume it right now. I mean, apps, more than 40 apps on mainnet have been consuming that data. We take pride in what we've accomplished, and it's not going to be a perfect ride. It's not going to be a straightforward story, but whatever we come across in the future, we just have to know that we will prevail, and that not all will have both good times and bad times, but taking pride, keeping our heads down, and really working with the community and supporting each other. That's what gets us through. That's the story of winners.
Yeah, totally agree there. Like, you guys are building an innovative, first of its kind product. There are going to be some speed bumps, but I'm like pretty confident you guys have a all-star team. So I'm pretty confident we can get there. Like there's just going to be engineering hurdles, but I think like a lot of this stuff definitely seems solvable at the end of the day, and you guys are putting really great thought towards it. So despite all the Chainlink reply guys, I'm pretty bullish on you guys.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think we kind of look at like a project like Zeta. The bigger Zeta gets and the more Zeta does, on Solana and just from a building effort, it's kind of like a testament to our success as well. Like we have equities data, we have FX data, we have metals data, and then obviously we have crypto data. I think if you look far enough down the line, I could see Zeta taking advantage of all of those things. For us, it's really about bringing the global financial system on chain. Right now, we're looking at just very early days of what that looks like. If you kind of look a little bit further out, there's so much room to grow, and we think Pyth is an important piece to achieving that vision. So.
Yeah, totally agree on that. I think it's super cool, like the wide list of assets you guys have. And as I mentioned before, we can pretty much spin up permissionlessly a derivative product on any of these kind of underlying oracles, like in no time at all, which is really cool. And eventually, we'll probably get it to the community that they can kind of run these and spin up new markets, which I think is exciting. And we can offer such a wide kind of swathe of products. And then on the other side, I think, we would love to become publishers as well. Eventually, we'll have really cool data, which I'm kind of working on, which is like our internal volatility surfaces and implied volatility measures that you see published as somewhat proprietary data on platforms like Deribit. So we can kind of contribute that back and give like on-chain volatility sources, which you guys might not necessarily have. And with adoption and with volume on the platform, like hopefully we become like somewhat the market leader or set or influence some of the volatility there. So I think that could be like a pretty nice data source once we reach maturity there.
Yeah, man, that'd be awesome.
Awesome. Well, great. Thanks for jumping on the spaces, guys. Lots of interesting questions and responses there. Very excited with what you guys are building. If anyone hasn't already, check out the white paper. We'll kind of link it out right after this. Just get excited for the future of what's happening with Pyth x Zeta.
Appreciate it, Tristan. Thanks for the invite.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Chat soon, guys. See you all.
See you.
Bye.